was not ready for it.
It didn't look like Mark Brunell was prepared for that snap.
They had changed the play, and Wydell may have blown the snap count.
From the 16-yard line, Elway in the game, back in the game, and it's Griffith. And he's taken down by Kevin Hardy.
And that ball's on the ground.
Jaguars did look confused before the play, or at least listening to Brunell, and then the confusion developed.
Remember, right before we pick it up here, he's changed the play.
Now let's watch the get off.
They're all changing it along the line of scrimmage now.
But let's look at the other offensive linemen. Do they get off on the snap?
Well, Wydell even turned, I think, to Brunell.
No, that was an early snap. His right guard, Chilsky, Searcy, the right tackle, still down in their stance.
No question.
After the ball was snapped.
Second down and 9 from the 17-yard line. Blitz is picked up beautifully. Catch is made by McCaffrey. He gets wrestled down at the 26, a little short of the first down. He was wrestling for that first, but it appears to be third down and inches.
McCaffrey stretched for it, all 6'5" of him, but he comes up a little bit short, I believe. Again, Denver picking up the blitz, giving Elway time to throw the football. And we have been told Elway just had the wind knocked out of him momentarily, and he's fine. And they'll bring the sticks out. But a good pickup on the part of the offensive line. McCaffrey now battles. He knows where he has to go for the first down, and he comes up a little short.
3rd and 6 inches. What do you think John's getting in his ear right now?
Number 30.
Be pretty surprising if it wasn't.
Earlier in his career, maybe a quarterback sneak. John's big, 6'3", 215. But when you got a Terrell Davis, you want to put the football in his hands.
Clock starts again, 2:40 left in the 3rd. Broncos up by 4. Davis. Out to the 29-yard line to move the chains.
See, we could be offensive coordinators.
Absolutely.
We're all over this thing.
Not a problem.
Did you see him plant that foot, though? He saw a little bit of a gap. Again, he's 210. He plays like he's 240. Plants with the right foot. Saw a little bit of a gap. There's no way he was not going to get a first down.
A 6th-round draft choice in '95. A whole lot of production from a 6th rounder.
He's not as pretty as Barry Sanders to watch run, but he is certainly one effective running back.
Detron Smith is in at fullback, and he'll lead the way for Davis. And Davis with a big hole. Terrell Davis off to the races inside the 30. Finally dragged down at the 13-yard line.
I take it back. He looks like Barry Sanders.
And you know what, Terrell? Just stay there for a while. You got a right to be tired.
Detron Smith, who's playing in place of the dinged Howard Griffith, the backup fullback with the block to spring him. 59 yards.
And Davis deserves the break.
Again, look at the lead block by Smith. The outstanding blocking by his offensive line. Terrell Davis, to this point, not even touched by anybody on Jacksonville's defense, as they have been doing for the majority of the game. This Bronco offensive line and the lead back, whether it be Detron Smith or Howard Griffith, most of the time, has just been outstanding on the running game.
That's 31 carries for Terrell Davis. Questionable coming in to some degree, not on the part of the Broncos. They told us he was 100% and they were going to go with him.
And we're still in the 3rd quarter, Frank.
I know.
He's on 31 carries.
That last carry, 59 yards, the longest in the postseason history of the Broncos. Broke his own mark, 47, last year against the Jaguars.
You know, the cardiovascular conditioning and shape that you have to be in to handle the ball 35 times at a mile altitude in not even 3/4 of football. This is a remarkable physical performance by Terrell Davis here today.
And it's not the proverbial mile, it's exactly 5,280 feet from the 13-yard line.
That's motion on the Broncos.
Detron Smith.
Flag down.
That time Smith obviously blowing the snap count.
But it is hard for the average layperson to understand
Illegal motion.
the kind of shape that a man like Terrell Davis has pounded his body into over the years to be able to do something like this here today. There's a lot more to it than just wanting to do it here today. That's years of work in the weight room and on the treadmill and out on the track paying off.
And he hasn't really been able to do that much over the past 12 days either. He was hurt just 12 days ago in our Monday night game. Slightly separated shoulder. What a performance.
First down and 15 from the 18-yard line. Derek Lavelle is in the backfield. He gets taken down by Ronaldo Wynn at the 15-yard line.
Let's go 30.
Second and 12, and Davis is on his way back into the game.
And the Broncos are going to have to run a play. The play clock is about 2 seconds ahead of the game clock, so they can't just allow the third quarter to expire.
The wind has really quieted, much to the relief of both quarterbacks, I'm sure.
On second and 12 from the 15. A little toss and an errant toss, and the Jaguars appear to have covered the football, and they do.
Denver doing everything they can do to keep Jacksonville in this game.
Dave Thomas recovers it.
2 consecutive possessions, turning the ball over deep in Jacksonville territory.
And it's the first time I've seen this on part of Denver. It's a little bit of a screen. They bring in Willie Green. He's part of it. They flip the lateral out to Terrell Davis. John Elway's fault there. That was behind him over his shoulder. And Jacksonville has it back.
Susie, you're on. Burger.
Well, here is I guess the bad pitch by John Elway over the right shoulder of Terrell Davis. We've been spending the last couple minutes trying to figure out what that play was going to be, and we can't come up with it.
1 second left in the quarter, and Brunell slips and goes down, and it's a gift sack for Ma'a Tanuvasa. And that's the way the third quarter will end, in a wild one in Denver, where the Broncos at one point led 21-17. Pat Bowlen and Wayne Weaver. What an afternoon. 15 minutes left in regulation. And back we come to Denver after this from our ABC stations.
Consumers are suffering from back pain, but there's good news. We found help in a growing new industry.
Okay, my spine hopefully is being realigned by all of this. I don't know.
Find out on ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
See the movie Oh God with George Burns and John Denver, and then the practice in prime time tonight right here on ABC. We start the fourth quarter. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deroth, Lynn Swan. It is second down and 18 for the Jaguars, and Brunell throws, and that's incomplete, intended for Keenan McCardell.
Delayed blitz on the part of Denver, and it hurried Brunell.
John Mobley.
It was a heck of a job by Natron Means coming back and picking up Mobley. He kept Brunell from taking the hit.
Denver fans, Denver players have to remember the fourth quarter last year. An 8-minute and 32-second drive by Brunell and these Jaguars that put them up by 10 in the fourth quarter and really sealed that game.
Third and 18 from the gun. They have to get to the 36 to convert. The catch made at the 25 of McCardell. Tackled there, 4th and 11.
That's a smart call. Hopefully you're going to be able to break a tackle if you're a Jaguar player, but you don't do anything risky going for all of it. Get it picked off. You're well in this game. You got a lot of time left. You're 4 points down. Good safe call. Get the completion. Hope you can get the run afterwards. If they don't, they'll have to punt, but it's safe.
Brian Barker to punt, Darian Gordon to return it. Low, bad kick, but a very good Jacksonville bounce.
Another flag all the way across the field, I think.
At the
Is that a flag or a
I
piece of
can't
trash?
tell. It's a flag. It's at the 27-yard line.
It's a flag. My eyes aren't that good.
It's at the line of scrimmage.
An eligible man downfield against
Well, they don't want that over.
Jacksonville.
I wouldn't think, would they? It's going to make them kick again.
Well, it ended up being a heck of a net on the punt because of the lack of a return.
46 yards.
Yeah.
Ineligible member of the kicking team, number 57, downfield. That's a 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Well, we'll see if they made a wise decision.
Well, with a 46-yard net and Darian Gordon as your return guy, you got to make him kick again.
Right.
Larry Pasquale, the special teams coach, trying to explain to his head coach.
You persuaded me with the Gordon factor.
That's right.
3 returns for touchdowns this year by Darian Gordon. But the ball travels a long way here.
Parker's kick is another wobbly kick. The wind holds it up, and a good break for Denver.
What a great decision.
Immediately at the 47 by Rich Griffith. So Denver takes over in Jacksonville territory, up by 4.
Great decision.
Competition can't explain how a car that broke all the molds still has enough power to keep blowing away the stereotypes. Ford Taurus SE Sport, now with a 200 horsepower Duratec V6. Have you driven a Ford lately? It's freezing.
New Year's Day on ABC, the CompUSA Florida Citrus Bowl. That's Florida against Penn State at 1 Eastern. Rose Bowl, Michigan, Washington State, the big one from Pasadena. Then at night, the Nokia Sugar Bowl, Florida State and Ohio State, all coming up. And then on February 1st, we'll be in Honolulu for the Pro Bowl to wrap up the season. Denver at the 48 of Jacksonville, and Derek LaVille is in the backfield. Elway slings one, caught by Sharp, and out of bounds at the 26-yard line.
Oh, what a beautiful pass by John Elway. What a great touch. He had to throw over linebacker Kevin Hardy, getting the ball to Sharp in front of the defensive back, and he had the perfect touch. And again, great protection for John. Watch him break out. Now he picks up coverage underneath in the form of Kevin Hardy. You don't see him right there. He also had the strong safety coming over, and Dave Thomas. A great touch by Elway. There it is. A good look.
First down of the 25. LaVille is the tailback. Detron Smith is the fullback. Derek LaVille through the middle with a big hole. Inside the 15 and the 10. Touchdown Broncos.
Well, the 2 previous drives, Denver didn't finish. They moved into Jacksonville territory. They made a mistake. This time, they finished big. Terrell Davis, we're being told, is in the Denver locker room. And in his absence, Derek LaVille gets it done.
That Denver offensive line just firing off. And a good move by LaVelle there. And then a sprint to the outside, getting away from Dave Thomas. And Denver goes up by more.
Elam for the point after.
That was just another excellent example of tremendous work up front by the Broncos. And Pat Bowlen, the owner of the franchise, couldn't be happier.
Denver by 11.
This new tax law is going to affect every aspect of your financial plan. It's going to affect your savings rate, the way that you plan for retirement, children's education. Prudential Securities has a great software package for you and your financial advisor to use to review and reallocate your portfolios in this new environment.
Julia Roberts, Nick Nolte, together for the first time on network television.
I think we're in some kind of trouble here.
I Love Trouble, ABC Sunday.
The aerial photography being provided by Goodyear. Great shot right there, Mile High Stadium, downtown in the background. And the Denver Broncos trying to advance in the AFC playoffs, now up by 11 as Elam kicks off. Some confusion as to who is going to haul it in, and Mike Logan takes it and brings it back to the 20-yard line. Meanwhile, Terrell Davis in the locker room, they're telling us bruised ribs. He had that long run. Here was the end of that long run. Then he did come back in for one play. After that, the fumble.
He lands right on the football. Looked like he landed with the football. He just came down directly on top of it.
And that happens more frequently than you might think for running backs.
And his return is questionable.
He did come back in, though, as you say, Al, and felt that he was available to keep going.
In the meantime, Lavelle runs for the touchdown. From the 20-yard line, first down for the Jaguars. Natron Means nowhere. Keith Traylor to first to hit him, and John Mobley second for Greg Robinson's defense.
Well, this is where the Denver defense would like to step up. They have their ace running back in the locker room, off the field, and they need some defensive play.
Second and 10 from the Jaguar 20. Blitz. 7 men come, and the catch is made by McCardell at the 29-yard line. And I think they're going to give him forward progress across the 30 and a first down.
Good pickup on the blitz. McCardell just driving Darian Gordon back. Gordon again playing way off and setting up in the perfect spot for the first down.
And at this stage of the ball game, down by 11, these are the weapons that Mark Brunell has got to start using. Jimmy Smith and Keenan McCardell. Good use of the hands.
And a great spot for Jacksonville.
I'll tell you, about a yard.
Yeah.
He never got beyond the 30.
And that's the difference between a 3rd and 1 and a first down.
Yeah.
Fake the end around. Brunell is going to take off, then throw, and too high. Jimmy Smith working the sideline. 2nd and 10. Keith Traylor put the pressure on. This AFC wildcard game is being brought to you by Ford Explorer, because the world is too big to be left unexplored. Miller Lite, now official beer sponsor of the NFL. Circuit City, answers in every department, low prices all over the store. And Microsoft, where do you want to go today? One of these teams wants to go to Pittsburgh or Kansas City next week, and that's what they're playing for, advancement in the playoffs. That site to be determined after the Miami-New England game tomorrow. 2nd and 10. Brunell under pressure. Trevor Price got him, the rookie out of Clemson, who started his college career at Michigan, their #1 pick.
Darian Gordon, who has been a little erratic in the last few games for the Broncos, made a terrific play on Jimmy Smith. That is where Mark Brunell wanted to go. Smith with a little out looking for a first down, and Darian Gordon was right with him. Took Smith out of the play. Brunell had to run the ball.
3rd down 10. Earlier today, the Vikings overcame a 16-point giant lead and won the game at the Meadowlands. Jacksonville in this one attempting to overcome a 21-point deficit at one point. And on 3rd down, the catch is made, and a flag is thrown. Romanowski popped Brunell, and that's going to cost Denver the opportunity to get the ball back, because the catch was made 6 yards shy of the first down.
Bill Romanowski comes right up the middle. I don't think he's even touched on his blitz.
Personal ball. Number 53 on the defense, roughing the passer. Blow to the head.
He grabs him by the helmet more than a blow to the head as he goes by, but you can't do that. And Romanowski demonstrating for the official that nothing wrong with that play.
It wasn't a blow to the head as much as it was Romanowski in the air when he came down with his hand on the back of the shoulder pad, but once he had him by the head, drove him down. You know, I've seen a lot of those that didn't get called.
Here's Means, and that was a huge call, because otherwise it would have been 4th down and 6.
We've seen quarterbacks take bigger hits than that don't get called for roughing the quarterback. Granted, there was contact between Romanowski's hand and Brunell's helmet. You can't argue that. how much contact was there? Well, depending whether you're rooting for Denver or Jacksonville, you can argue that a lot.
Second down and 4. Short drop. Smith makes the catch. Forward progress at the 40. Good enough for a first down.
And each time the Broncos show blitz, Grinnell either goes quickly on a checkoff to Jimmy Smith or he changes the play at the line of scrimmage. And they work against Darian Gordon. Let's take a look at that Romanowski call again. Nobody touched him coming up. Gets the left hand on the helmet. Well, I don't know. We've seen a lot worse.
Boy, the hand came down as gently as it could on the back of Grinnell's head. He just kind of threw him to the ground with it.
From the 39, Brunell going deep. Great coverage, though, and picked off in the end zone by Gordon.
Gordon has been the target for Jacksonville all day long. He's had some bad games recently, particularly going back to the Pittsburgh game when Yancey Thigpen ate him alive. They've gone to him many times on the blitz. Here today, they tried to go on a deep pattern, and Darian Gordon picks it off.
Blanketed McCardell, and Denver gets the ball back, leading by 11.
Competition can't explain why they keep playing follow the leader. But then again, they've been doing it for so long, maybe it's just become habit forming. Ford Taurus. Now that explains everything. Have you driven a Ford lately?
We're back at Ericsson Stadium where we're down to the final seconds of the game and it's still tied. The kick's high. And
Ericsson mobile phones. Catch the excitement.
Here's to the weekend warrior in all of us, pushing our bodies beyond the norm. Mercifully, there's an advanced medicine called Advil. When the pain sets in, and it will, Advil works fast, right at the site of muscle pain, stopping it where it starts. Muscle aches to headaches, Advil relieves all kinds of pain. Advil simply lets people do what they love to do.
Same great videos.
This is one sadistic TV show.
New hosts, Daisy Fuentes and John Fugelsang. And all new funniest videos, 1 week from Monday on ABC.
Mile High Stadium in Denver at dusk. Broncos leading 28-17. First down from the 20-yard line, and Shannon Sharp was in motion again.
Shannon Sharp having a rough go of it here today, getting the snap count down.
Number 84 on the offense. That's a 5-yard penalty and still first down.
Third call against Sharp.
Started off the game with one, tossed one in the middle, and now comes up with another one in the fourth quarter. Skipped a quarter somewhere along the way.
First and 15 from the 15. Derek Lavelle. And Lavelle, number 3 on the depth chart, looks like an old pro. All the way to the 32-yard line.
Well, when you see it happen with Terrell Davis, and you see it happen with both Derek Lavelle, the one conclusion you can draw is that the Denver offensive line is kicking the you-know-what out of Jacksonville up front. They are manhandling the Jaguars.
And their defense, Jacksonville, is playing like the 24th defense against the run of the National Football League.
They are just getting blown out up front. This is as good a performance as I've seen in a while by an offensive line and the lead blockers for the Denver Broncos.
First and 10 at the 41. Lavelle again. So with Terrell Davis, bruised ribs, back in the locker room. Vaughn Hebron, who had a hamstring pull in his practice this week, limited today to returning kicks. Derek Lavelle comes out of the bullpen, and in the meantime, Terrell Davis has emerged, and there he is back on the bench.
Well, I think the Denver offense would like to look over and say, don't worry about it. We've got this under control.
For those of you at home keeping score, Tony Jones, Brian Habib, Tom Nalen, Mark Schlereth, and Gary Zimmerman, and lead blocker Howard Griffith or Detron Smith. They are getting it done, folks.
2nd and 7. Now Hebron comes into the game as the tailback takes the handoff, and Hebron takes it to the 32, and that's close to a first down, a little bit short. Halfway through the 4th quarter.
Precious seconds ticking off for Jacksonville.
Third down and 1. Hebron enough for the first down on the 31. And Elway now can be as masterful as you would expect somebody in his 15th year. Was a #1 draft choice to be. Move the ball, chew up the clock. Take the play clock down to 1 or 2 on every play.
And Dick Geron, the defensive coordinator of Jacksonville, has got to be running out of things to do. He's calling run blitzes. He's loading the line of scrimmage. He's walking up his safeties, and none of it is having much of an effect in stopping Denver's running game.
They're just being overpowered right at the line of scrimmage, Dan. You've touched on it, and it really is showing here in the 4th quarter.
270 yards on the ground, almost 7 yards a carry. Play clock went all the way down to 1, and Lavelle takes it to the 25 for a gain of 5. Davis looks at this. He wants back in there.
I'm trying to think of the last time I covered a football game where a team had 270 yards rushing.
And counting.
College.
276 now. I certainly can't recall it.
Oklahoma and Nebraska.
And to think that it's seriously, Frank, and to think it's happening in a playoff game. These members of the Denver offense, if they go on and win this game, they'll remember this for the rest of their lives.
2nd and 4. Lavelle has 84 yards on the ground and 6 carries. Derek again spins his way to the 20, and that's probably close enough to be measured.
And if he doesn't lose his footing, who knows where Lavelle ends up. Not sure he got knocked down by anyone in a Jacksonville uniform as much as he spun and just lost his footing.
We touched on it earlier about Derek Lavelle as we check out the measurement. Favorite of Mike Shanahan's when they were at San Francisco together.
You know, I just had one game come to mind. It was a Super Bowl we covered. A guy named Timmy Smith ran for over 200 yards, and it was against
the Denver Broncos on a day when Doug Williams went wild.
That's exactly right.
Williams was the MVP, and everybody forgets that Timmy Smith
at what, 206, 204?
I want to say 202, but we'll get it in a second. 204.
204.
Split the difference.
No, I said 204.
Oh, okay.
I said 206, 204.
Well, Frank didn't check that.
None of this splitting the difference.
3rd down and inches. Lavelle. And if he got to the 20-yard line, he's got it, and you can see where they're going to come in and mark it. That's going to be enough for a first down.
Inside the 20. The clock will continue to tick.
The game clock right now is frozen at 5:37. Kenny Wolf, our producer, is saying it should be about 4:57.
They'll keep the time on the field in that case.
Normally it works the other way. The home clock is running fast.
Maybe they tried to speed it up, Dan.
That's it. Maybe applied a little extra juice to it, and it popped a circuit. Now it's back clicking away at 4:27.
Okay.
Although the clock's not running, so
they'll reset it.
Right. Gives us a chance to tell you this wild card game is being brought to you by Ford Explorer, because the world is too big to be left unexplored. Miller Lite, now official beer sponsor of the NFL. Circuit City answers in every department. Low prices all over the store. And Microsoft, where do you want to go today? Tomorrow, Sunday, NFL Countdown on ESPN starts the day. NFL Primetime ends the day. 2 playoff games tomorrow, of course, with Detroit meeting Tampa Bay and New England facing Miami. And again, if New England wins that game, they would go to Pittsburgh, and the winner of this game would go to Kansas City. If Miami wins that game, Miami goes to Kansas City, and the winner of this game would go to Pittsburgh.
I want to thank our offensive line down in the truck today. Kenny Wolf producing, Craig Janoff directing.
All pro.
All pros, all world. You guys have had 300 yards rushing today.
As always, from the 29-yard line. Derek Lavelle for a couple. Clock is now official again, 4:40 and counting down. Broncos led at one point 21-0. Appeared to be on their way to a blowout. Jacksonville with 17 unanswered points, and we're driving for what might have been a go-ahead touchdown. Lost the football, and Denver has tacked on a touchdown to go up again by 11.
Elway having trouble hearing the play as is called in. He ran over to the sidelines. Mike Shanahan came out and waved to him.
Don't forget right there at that address, NFL.com. All the action around the National Football League available on your computer. Is Derek Lavelle takes it inside the 15 to the 14-yard line. These two teams last year, when you think of last year's game, there was not a single turnover. There wasn't a turnover in the first half today, but there were 3 in the third quarter alone, and Tom Coughlin has to stop the clock right here, and then his defense has to stop the Broncos on what will be a 3rd down and 4.
Jacksonville with 2 timeouts remaining now.
Of course, Denver in a position for a Jason Elam field goal that would move them up to 31. 2 touchdown advantage over Jacksonville.
Well, our producer, as always, finishing his 12th year on this package, is the one and only Ken Wolf. The great Craig Janoff has been at the console now for the last 10 seasons, and Joey Chavo has been there since day 1 of the package. As our technical director, Big Ben Harvey, our associate producer, Jaime Bravo, our associate director, and this gang, we travel around beginning at the end of July in Canton, Ohio, and wrapping up here and in Hawaii. Chris Pfeiffer and Bill Boland, the assistants to the producer. Steve Hurd, our director of information. Kim Bauer up in the booth with George Hill handling our stats, and Malibu Kelly Hayes, our spotter. 3rd down and 4 from the 14. A flag is thrown, and as Lavelle
looked like Jacksonville, and that would be a 1st down.
Lavelle either way. Short. Chris Hudson came across the line.
That would give Denver a 1st down if it is indeed on Jacksonville. He was well across the ball.
It is.
Yeah.
That's a killer. That's a killer. They had just taken a timeout. And there's our gang. Malibu Kelly Hayes, as always. Our sideline coordinators, John Bassoni and Bill Monahan, and all of the gang in the booth, in the truck, on the field. Great work, folks. All season.
Drew's been here for about 25 years.
At least.
At least. Drew goes back to black and white.
Goes back to radio.
Marconi. Macaroni.
1st down Denver from the 9-yard line as Lavelle takes it into the end zone.
What an exclamation point on Denver's running game today.
Well, great job by Lavelle, but that offensive line,
that's awesome.
Makes it a pleasure to run behind.
I know folks in Jacksonville are saying, why did it have to happen to us? But this is as punishing a running game as the NFL has seen in a single game in a long time. This was something. As an offensive lineman, I got to tell you something. It's fun to watch. And again, we don't mean that as a slight to Jacksonville. But we just saw something a little bit historic.
Well, historic is Lavelle with 103 yards. Davis had already picked up 184, and the Broncos on the ground 295 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns.
And the only reason they didn't go over 300 is at the goal line caught Derek Lavelle.
Well, this was the 24th defense of the league coming in against the rush, Jacksonville. They lost key members of this team to injuries. John Yurkovich, who started a tackle a year ago. Don Davey started, a veteran defensive tackle a year ago. They were injured out of it. Kelvin Pritchard, they lost him, and they were going with a lot of kids today, and they just got blown away.
Rushing yards in the game go all the way back to the Bears against the Redskins, 382 in 1940.
Most recent was the Buffalo against Miami game back in '95. But you make a good point, Frank. A lot of youth in the middle of the Jacksonville defense for most of the season. A couple of rookies with Payne and Wynn and Schwartz at the middle linebacker, just a third-year guy, but again, a guy coming back from surgery. But still, everybody, I'm sure, expected them to be a little more stout against the run than what we saw today.
And maybe Denver playing back to where they began this season. They were shaky through the last 4 games of their schedule.
I think Denver played with a little passion today. What do you think?
Maybe that's what they needed.
It's been this has been welling up for 51 weeks.
But I'll tell you, though, there was about a 15-minute period when it was about as scary as it's ever gotten around here. Because if they would have blown this game after leading 21-0, I mean, you think last year was tough.
Yes.
Whew. They would have been headed to the couch.
And it was looking that way for a while.
Little $200 an hour analysis.
That may have been $1,000 an hour. Bouncing ball by Elam, and it's taken by Ty Halleck, and he's out of bounds at the 36-yard line. And we continue on our gang as we travel around the country with a group of about 70.
Lance Knapp, who's up in the booth with us here, along with Barry, the gang.
Fascinating how they all come together. Kurt Gowdy is producing in New York, our halftime. And how they all come together week after week from all different parts of the country, and the incredible caring that each and every one of them have about what we put on the air. We're just proud to be a part of it.
Jacksonville trailing by 18 as that's tipped and incomplete. Tipped by Darian Gordon coming on a corner blitz. Gordon, who made that big interception.
And remember, he tipped one on a corner blitz earlier in the ball game.
He's having a heck of a year. 4 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown, 3 punt returns for a touchdown, 1 interception, like I said, for a TD. And he wasn't the guy that was expected to start at the corner. That only happened when Torrey James went down in preseason, and he has really stepped up.
Now Denver turns their attention to going to either Pittsburgh or Kansas City, 2 places where they've already lost this year.
2nd down and 10. Brunell hits McCardell up to the 42-yard line.
And against 2 teams, Dan, where they had leads that they lost.
Of course, Kansas City, their rival in the AFC West, a great familiarity between the Broncos and the Chiefs. And what a year Kansas City has had, earning themselves the home field all the way through the AFC.
And it's 4th down intended for Mitchell. And the Jaguars will have to go for it.
So you have to give this Jacksonville team a lot of credit here in the 3rd year, 11-5, and an improving team. Injuries hurt them this year, particularly on defense. We've already delineated that. They have done a terrific job.
4th and 5 with 3:03 to go.
Whoa. Make it 4th and 10.
8 for, well, let's see, it would have been 4th and 6 to begin with. 4th and 11 coming up.
Number 87 on the offense, moving prior to the ball being snapped. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
When Denver goes to either Kansas City or Pittsburgh, how about the playoff experience at the quarterback position? You're going to have John Elway making his 16th playoff start against either Cordell Stewart or Elvis Gerbeck, two guys that don't have a lot of experience in the playoffs.
Fourth down, and that's the exclamation point provided by Gordon.
Brunell knew he had no shot. Caught from the corner of the eye, Darian Gordon coming on the blitz. He knew he couldn't get away. Gordon having a heck of a day, and he was the target for Jacksonville coming in.
Oh, there goes a flag over on the other side of the field as Neil Smith and
got into it with
some
Dave
of the guys
Weidel.
are jawing it away.
Got into it with Dave Weidel, a former Bronco.
He wasn't Smith's former teammate.
No, he was not. He was gone before Neil got here. Neil giving the age-old pointing to the scoreboard, and that is the one thing a guy can do that it's tough to argue in this situation.
And it's never forgotten.
No, but let's try to be a gracious winner.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 87 on the defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
You don't get many wide receivers that get called for unnecessary roughness.
Keenan McCardell.
He's still exercised.
I think he's...
You better be careful. He'll be getting the wallet out big time.
Well, Jacksonville isn't going anywhere as far as regressing as a franchise. This game goes out the window. They have shown with their steady progression, they're going to be good for a long time.
1st and 10 in Hebron, and now they have picked up their 300 yards as a team. And it's funny how it's worked out for the expansion teams, because Carolina went for the veterans early, and they were better early.
Yep.
They both got to their respective championship games last year, but they intersected along the way. And while Jacksonville is going up, the Panthers are now on the slide.
They took a big step backwards this year. They lost their general manager, Bill Polian, went to Indianapolis. And Jacksonville is just going to get better, and listen to the hand for John Elway.
He comes out. Mike Shanahan wanted him to come out to let him get the big hand. At the 10-yard line, into the game comes Bubby Brister. And Pat Boland's down on the field, and Pat, who's watched this team for years and years as the owner of the team, get to those 3 Super Bowls and come up short. Thinking right now, 2 more, and we're back again. 2 minutes, the crowd chanting Elway, Elway. It's been John's day and Denver's. Two minutes to go, and we wind down in Denver, where the Denver Broncos have picked up 301 yards on the ground today.
Interesting point Dan just brought up. If the Broncos have 301 yards rushing, which is truly remarkable, if they decide to kneel down, run this clock out, they could fall back behind that.
Bubby Brister. They're keeping it going forward. And this is Hebron, and he is stopped at the 6-yard line, a little short of the first down. 4th down upcoming. With Lavelle and Davis each rushing for over 100 yards. The last time that happened in a postseason game was 1976. Minnesota Vikings, Chuck Foreman and Brent McClanahan.
Ooh, baby.
Each into triple figures.
I might have guessed on a few running back combinations before I'd stumbled over those two.
Well, I'll tell you what, 21 years from now, you might have guessed on a few before you get Terrell Davis and Derek Lavelle.
I might have gone Salka and Mercury Morris or somebody like that, but McClanahan and Foreman.
Yep. 4th and 1. Hebron into the end zone.
Excuse me, I'm sure that didn't sit too well in Jacksonville, but you know what? You got to let your players play.
Yeah, well, I have a feeling if it was like second down and out of timeouts, that was a fourth down play, so you give it back.
Yep. You know, you gotta keep playing.
Yep.
Cap quite a day for Hebron, who again was questionable all week with a hamstring, didn't work out. They actually worked him out before the game here today.
Elam for the point after. That's 5 rushing touchdowns today. And they've spread it around. Davis with 2, Lavelle with 2, Hebron with 1.
You know, going into this game, I was thinking that the Broncos might have done too much talking, that they might have put too much emphasis on this ball game. And again, look at those rushing totals. 310 yards for the Denver Broncos, 42-17. Just everything that everybody in the state of Colorado dreamed about happening when the Jaguars. But to get back to I thought that they might have put so much pressure on themselves by focusing so much on this game.
Yeah. I think that's young John Elway. He's 8 years old and he's quite a kid. Plays quarterback in Little League here in Denver. And
no, talk about pressure. Talk about pressure.
Jason Elam back for Jacksonville.
The Elway family has handled it very well.
Now a quarterback for the Pee Wee team, number 7, John Elway Jr.
This is Mike Logan. He's looking to get rid of the football.
Nobody wants it.
You know, Mike, you ought to think about running with it.
Well, then he goes to Damon Jones, the tight end.
That worked out well. Whatever happened to being in the open and taking off with the football? Young Mr. Elway out to get the...
You see that? He gave the mile-high salute.
His name is Jack. That's Jack Elway.
Named for John's father, Jack.
His grandpa.
Great football coach for many years.
How did he get that job? He must know somebody.
Had his own personal dresser. That's not bad. Cody doesn't do that well.
Grandpa Jack is now the director of pro scouting for the Broncos, so it's a real family affair. Director of pro scouting, the quarterback, and the, what do you call him, the T-boy? That's incomplete. Among the duties of the young Elway boy is to go out and retrieve the kicking tee.
Hey, think he just gets in here for nothing?
Yeah.
It's got to work.
Got to work, absolutely.
And we've gone off so much on Terrell Davis in the running game. We can also tell you that John Elway, not bad. 16 of 24, 223 yards and a touchdown. This game won't be the same someday without him.
Oh.
2nd and 10.
Don't even talk about it.
Caught by McCardell, steps out of bounds.
There are rare players that impact on this game that we all love so well, like John Elway.
Think about it.
Well, I'll be in Canton when he goes in. I won't miss that. Hopefully, we'll be doing the game.
Yeah, he'll be there.
That's right.
3rd down.
Where's the question mark?
And 2. And James Stewart picks up the 1st down. It's a strange game, though, because about an hour and 15 minutes ago, Elway was hurt. They were attending to him on the field. He had fumbled the ball. A 21-0 lead had become 21-17. He was being worked on the bench. Jacksonville was driving the other way.
Right. And now you look at this final score, Al, and you think, whoa, what would have happened if Denver wouldn't have turned it over twice deep in Jacksonville territory?
And number 30 would not be on the bench if those ribs were ailing too much. I think he will be 100% for his travels next week.
Maybe if there was a very key play in this game, it would be the Wydell snap to Brunell, which summarily ended that drive on which Jacksonville could have taken the lead.
Yeah, you're right, Al. Or else, if it wasn't that, it was the first time that they handed it to Terrell Davis.
Yes, which was the first play of the game.
And the irony of that, Wydell being a former Bronco.
Stewart drops it.
Yeah, you make a good point about that, Al, because they'd benefited from Denver's mistake. They'd marched all the way down into